Welcome to Kat's Home Chat, take 2 of episode 1, and all things real estate. My guest today is Juliana Swisher. And Juliana, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do as a realtor in the Houston area, how you got in the business, and anything you want to share with us?
Sure. So good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Juliana Swisher. I am the founder of South House Living. We are a boutique real estate firm here based out of Rice Village. That's where our main office is. Our team really works all around the inner loop for the most part, Memorial Heights. I'm a mom, a wife. I have 2 little twins. They're not that little anymore. They're about to be 9. So they've been keeping me busy, and I think they might join the business one day. It's kind of a family-run business. My dad is one of my business partners, so he's always there. So, we make a good team and work together. We really work kind of across the board with different types of clients, residential, with home buyers, sellers, developers, investors, and even a little bit in commercial business. So we kind of divide and conquer depending on what our client's specific need is. So
I like that.
Yeah.
So Juliana, tell us, how did you get into real estate? How did you get interested in real estate?
Well, it was an evolution of the last probably couple of decades. When I originally, this was a long time ago, but when I started college, I originally was interested in architecture and interior design. And then from there, I kind of took the shift that, I would rather be running the business and be on the sales and marketing side. So I switched majors and finished my bachelor's degree in that. And then I worked in the financial industry for a while. But there was a lot of kind of similarity between running the global marketing department there and working with our sales teams, and then kind of transferring a lot of that experience that I got from that into real estate. And just personally growing up, I've always been very interested in real estate. My dad, like I said, he's a partner of mine at the business, and he worked in commercial and residential real estate over the last 20, 30 years. So he has a wealth of experience there too. And I moved a lot. I always wanted to explore new real estate, new locations. So I've been through that experience so many times. I think I've lived in more homes in the last 20 years than 20 years. So probably 20, 25 homes.
You look so young.
The lighting.
That many years behind you. But so obviously real estate is your passion, is what I hear.
Absolutely. And I've always been a people person. I love getting to know people's stories. I think everyone kind of has a unique one. And I love the financial aspect of it as well, and helping people make good investment decisions and help them kind of plan for their financial future. So it's a perfect kind of breeding ground for those 2 passions.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you have so many transferable skills. I myself came from corporate America, and I didn't introduce myself. I am the founder and president and lead designer, master stager for Staging Next Level Staging and Design. But yes, I find that a lot of people who go into real estate or even creative endeavors such as mine, if they have a corporate background, there's so many transferable skills, that you don't really realize that you're getting some excellent training to run your own business, to really deal with a lot of different personalities. That's the one thing I have always loved about real estate, is that it's so complex. Mm-hmm. And so, you as the consummate professional, I used to tell clients, years ago when I was in new home sales, for first-time home buyers, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but don't be overwhelmed. Think of me as your puzzle master. And it sounds to me like you're pretty well equipped to put all those pieces of the puzzle together. And that's really, I think, why having a realtor to either sell or buy, one of the probably biggest investments that a person will make, is just so critical. Wouldn't you agree?
And I think our job is to really kind of keep them calm and confident and secure in the process. But you're right, there is a lot behind the scenes that takes place, but that's why you really want, someone who knows what they're doing and can kind of manage it on the back end and make sure things go smoothly.
And has experience. So how long, obviously you were born into it with dad, it's kind of, you were probably doing things when you were knee high, but how long have you had your license and been practicing real estate, Juliana?
I've had my license 3 to 4 years now. I originally started at a big brokerage and then kind of got all of my, training ground experience that first year. But since I had already had kind of that growing up background in real estate, I felt confident that it was time to really let my entrepreneurial spirit fly and start our own brokerage, which is Staff House Living. And it's been great. And we're hoping to keep growing it.
Yeah, I would have guessed you, even though you're so young, that you had at least 10 or 15 years, active, because, my experience with Juliana, as knowing her as a realtor, we've also teamed up together in terms of marketing and staging. She, is a strong believer that staging is one of the most strategic marketing tools that you can use to sell your property. And so we really kind of meshed together in that arena. And I applaud your professionalism. One of the statistics that I thought was really interesting that I've read is that over 85% of realtors are part-time. And I don't know how many of those are like brand new, but part-time. This is not a part-time business.
Right. I don't know, I don't know how they do it, honestly. And I mean, I'm a mom. I have other obligations as well, but to really kind of, I think, be able to handle the challenges and obstacles with different financial situations, different clients, it's really a full-time job.
Yes.
It really, if not more.
Yes, it really is. And being connected, answering your phone, being responsive, and being able to manage and all of those multiple objections and multiple people that you have to manage to put it all together. It's super challenging on a full-time basis. So yeah, that's what's that?
It's very rewarding too.
Very rewarding. Yes. Yeah, we could talk for a whole half day on the rewards of entrepreneurship, solopreneurship, and real estate. So our topic, as we advertised, and thank you everyone for joining. Unfortunately, we had to toggle back to the Facebook screen, so I can't see questions. So can you, Juliana, see questions or anything?
I can't, but I did ask someone to feed them to me.
There we go. Okay. So that we can, because we do want this to be interactive. We don't care if there's 2 people watching us right now. Most of them, as Juliana pointed out to me, watch it afterwards, which we found that out resoundingly so. But we do want your interaction because that'll help us stay on this platform and organize and bring more subject matter to you, because I guess that's what Facebook likes. That's what their algorithms like, is interaction. And we like that too, because we want to be able to provide information of value. So what we're going to go over in the next 30 minutes or so is what buyers are looking for today in a home that maybe they weren't looking for as much 2-3 months ago. Okay, so we're gonna go over that specifically. And then secondly, we're gonna talk about the luxury buyer, how you need to appeal and what you need to do differently as a seller to appeal to that luxury buyer. And I know, we run across this all the time. Staging for a luxury home is much different. We take into consideration the demographics and psychographics that speak to a certain buyer. And Juliana's going to talk about that. We're going to dialogue about that. And then also, so what you need to do to prepare your home as a seller, and also when you're working with buyers, what are they looking for as a luxury buyer, luxury seller. So let's just hop right in. And Juliana, I'll let you start off with conversation on what buyers are looking for today that maybe they weren't looking for months ago.
Well, I'll preface it all by real estate is local. So the market can definitely be different geographically, depending where you are. But, you know, I think we've all kind of been in that same boat over the last few months, kind of somewhat getting out of a total lockdown, and we're seeing the market really start to move again. And I know the last couple of weeks here, especially in Harris County, have been more uncertain than I think we predicted. But that said, I think it has really brought to light a lot of things that are now top of mind for a home buyer that might not have been last year. So we're seeing buyers, I'd say the number one thing is the home office. And, you know, I think that was always kind of something that was on a wish list, but now it's really becoming more of a requirement. And I don't think that's going to change for the foreseeable future, or possibly even the long term, because I think a lot of, you know, employers are starting to have a different lens into how remote their workforce can be.
Yes.
And I have an office here in Rice Village, but I also have a home office. And I think we all can probably relate to working from home, those of us that were fortunate to be able to keep working from a home environment. But when you have kids not in school, you have your spouse maybe home working, it becomes very challenging and stressful. And I have talked to so many people about this, and it's a very relatable topic.
Yes.
So in the home search, when we're walking through a home, it's very top of mind. I'd say that's the number one.
Number one thing is a home office. Yeah.
Or even just a private workspace, right? So if you're a buyer, they might be looking for that. But if you're preparing your home to sell, or even if it's on the market already, I would say defining spaces that could maybe visualize to a buyer what that space would look like as a private, you know, workspace or a home office.
Yeah, that's a good point, Juliana, and I'd like to piggyback on that, because as a master stager, we run across that all the time. And when I teach, I talk about that, you know, taking a room back to its original source. So how we live in our home and how we market it to sell it is two different things. So many people may use a living room or a bedroom or what have you as an office space or a kiddo space or whatever. But you always want to put it back to its original intention. And to speak to your point, if there is an extra bedroom, say it's a 4-bedroom, you know, nothing stops you from making a bedroom into an office to define that space, because people don't buy what they don't see. You've got to show them what it's going to be. And so, you know, taking away that objection, like, oh, it's just a 4-bedroom, there's no office. You know, sometimes they just don't stop and think, well, wait a minute, I only need 3. That one could be an office. So yeah, we've actually, during the shutdown, I did several Zoom design calls for folks just like you talked about, who were not furloughed, but working from home, who had never worked from home. You know, it's like, welcome to my world. I worked from home for 6 years, but who'd never worked from home. And so we're challenged. Yeah, I've got this huge game room and we need to define space for the kiddos doing school, a niche for me to do work, you know, a television area, and you know, the space was big enough. So, you know, just think outside the box on that as sellers. Speaking to what Juliana is talking about, that the buyers are looking for some sort of a work at home space / homeschooling for the kiddos.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I think that is probably not like a short-term item that's going to be kind of top of mind, just seeing, regardless of where we kind of go through the COVID, you know, experience, but with the longer term workforce environment or workplace environment.
Yeah, I think companies, I mean, they're finding it's, you know, brick and mortar is costly, and for many companies and employees, it is quite productive to work from home and eliminate that brick and mortar in those office spaces. So absolutely. Is there anything else besides office, Juliana, that you're seeing folks looking for?
You know, so I'll pick kind of a maybe unusual or surprising one that's not as obvious as like an open concept kitchen. But I think environmentally friendly homes, or efficient homes in the sense that, okay, so we just talked about you're going to be working from home a lot more. Your kids are going to be doing school online, potentially at home. Those bills are going to start creeping up on you when, you know, when everyone's using the electricity and the Wi-Fi, and the laundry more often, you know, things like that, the kitchen. So I do think that is becoming more present, and just environmental concerns that we're seeing as more buyers start to come into the market, that actually prioritize those types of things. So even from energy efficient appliances to your windows to smart technology for smart homes, being able to automatically program your air conditioning and your blinds and your lights, for a lifestyle appeal, of course, but then also from a environmental and cost perspective too. So I think that we're going to see more of that, and we are seeing more builders being cognizant of that in their development and including them in their homes. And if you're a homeowner and you're planning to sell, there's little things that you can do. Like if you have 100 light switches throughout the home, those could be pretty easily set up to be automated, you know, where you can have less switches and things like that. But because people will see that and they're looking for it when they walk through a home.
They will. We're getting ready to do that right now. I think I told you we've been in a remodel since November. We're at the tail end to put the lighting up, but we have Alexa and we want to have it programmed, you know, automated. But let me ask you this, for new homes, we are seeing that new home builders are doing the automation, of course, energy efficient, you know, whether it's, you know, Platinum or Energy Star, et cetera. But what about our investor partners who are renovating older homes that don't have, you know, those, a lot of, you know, they're doing cosmetic updates. What would you suggest that they maybe include in their budget for renovations to appeal to, you know, the buyer?
I would say if they aren't planning to do things like new windows or the roof or, you know, air conditioning units and things like that, I would focus probably on the smart technology and automating the home. At least having something where even as simple as like a Nest, where you can control some features of the home. I know a lot of realtors will offer things like the Google Smart Home or the Alexa as like a closing gift. So just having kind of the capabilities to bring that into a home. But if they are doing more of an extensive renovation and flip, then I would say those are definitely valuable things that when they go to sell it again, buyers are going to be expecting. And of course, it depends on the price point that we're talking about.
Sure, absolutely. The price, you know, whether it's 200 or 2 million. Touch briefly on the Nest, just like what is the Nest for people who might not know what the Nest is?
It's one of many smart devices that you can basically connect to your cooling and heating systems. They have other tools that you can kind of connect to them too for the full kind of smart home. But it lets you control it. So like if it's 100 degrees in Houston right now, you can have it set where it'll turn to, you know, 74, 30 minutes before you're supposed to get home versus just running all day and being
awesome.
Yeah.
So I saw that Tanya had a question, Tanya, on virtual tours, and we're probably going to do that on another segment. That's a whole nother segment where we'll probably have we're going to have a photographer. And they'll go through some of that. We may have a realtor as well from their perspective. So think about it there. If you're a realtor out there and you'd like to be a guest or talk about that topic, let me know. Shoot me an instant message. We're booking up, you know, like 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time because it'll be every Friday at 10 a.m. It will be recorded. So, you know, again, like we said, I think we had, I don't know, a handful of viewers on our first kind of take two shot, and I think we've had close to 2,000 views so far. So a lot of people are watching it afterwards.
Tanya's asking about from a buyer perspective, like, because we're on the topic of what buyers are expecting. If she's thinking along the lines of virtual tours, then I could give the quick answer that yes, it's kind of a prerequisite now for any listing agent that wants to be able to promote their listing. I think virtual tours is a must-have.
Okay, definitely. Yes, and I've talked to several realtors. They're doing that. They're going out and doing virtual tours to several homes so that their buyers don't have to go into different homes, sending them to them. Then maybe they send 3 and they want to go see 1. So smart, really smart showing. I hope that answers your question, Tanya, on that. So was there anything else before we go to the next topic, Juliana, on what buyers are looking for? So we've got energy efficiency, automation. Those are really good topics. And, you know, obviously, like we talked about, depending on the price point of the home and the age of the home will determine how much and how far that you can go. But there's something that can be done and be attracted, you know, attract that buyer in whatever segment.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other ones would really be things that have been highlighted, unfortunately, during the last few months when we have really had to stay home more often. And those would be the kitchen and the gym, the home gym. Because these are usually amenities that a lot of people would be going out for. Usually they might have a community pool, they might have a local gym, they might have restaurants that they're used to frequenting. And whether it be the restaurants are closed, the gyms are closed, or we're not comfortable going out, people have really, I think, had to adapt and start to get more accustomed to using what's in their current home. So, you know, I think buyers will be looking for the types of kitchen appliances and cooking space and gathering space where they're spending more time with their family and making it more of a, you know, social aspect than it was maybe just a chore to prepare dinner.
Yeah. Right? We've known for many years that the kitchen is the hub of the home or the heartbeat of the home, but even more so. And that's where, you know, we get into, you know, decluttering, depersonalizing, you know, showing off the finishes of the home. We don't want them looking at the stuff of the home, which is hard if you're living in there, the home, rather than vacant, but it's something to achieve. The gym, and this kind of goes back to, you know, everyone doesn't have space to have a gym plus an office, etc. So I think, you know, in this case, what I see, you tell me, Juliana, is flex space. If you have a space large enough that can be co-defined as an office and a gym, okay, let's say, or homeschooling and a gym, so in these flex spaces, you know, think about multi-zones and zoning them, you know, so that those spaces that people are looking for, you know, are there.
Yeah, I would agree. And, you know, and the other thing, I think, just in terms, we can probably start, those would be the top ones, but, you know, I would just advise if we're speaking to buyers that are out there right now, if they're watching this, the market itself, we didn't really talk about the market, but it is starting to pick up. And what we're seeing is more of a delayed spring season, whereas in April, we would have really seen real estate picking up. And we're starting to see that tremendously now, almost to the point where we're seeing multiple offers and properties that are priced well and staged well and marketed well, they're flying off the market very quickly. So my kind of closing advice on that would be just to get prepared, because we are getting into an environment where there's less inventory because there's not as many sellers coming onto the market as we normally would see this time of year. And the stuff that is being taken off the market and being bought. So if you're a buyer and you're out there listening to this, my biggest piece of advice would be to get prepared, get your finances in order, make sure you're ready to purchase a home, because, you know, things take longer these days. Everyone's kind of working a little bit differently than we used to. So I would do that first, and then whoever you're working with to help you find the home, come up with that wish list. Like, what are the top things? Is a home gym the most important item to you, or is it going to be socializing and cooking with your family in the kitchen? And we can kind of help narrow in on what the highest priorities are, because like you said, Kat, you might not be able to find every single thing. And if you're a seller, find those dedicated spaces, you know, that where you might be able to define it to a buyer that walks into your home, where they wouldn't, you know, would maybe pass it up if they couldn't visualize that being the home office space. So
exactly. Yeah, good advice. And we're going to be bringing on a finance specialist who's going to be talking about some of the misnomers and about what you need to purchase a home and how to set yourself up for success so that when you do have a realtor take you out to buy a home, you're ready to make an offer and sitting in a very good position. So yeah, definitely that's a whole other topic on that in terms of finance. But yeah, very, very good points as far as that, the priority list. We used to have in new home buildings, like there's no perfect home. There's no perfect tree. Well, I think trees are perfect, but you know, homes are made out of wood and you know, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, but there's no perfect home. Generally people start off with the location. Do they want amenities, school district? You know, there's a when you go down your must-have list, you know, those are things that you're going to want to think of, and then it goes into the space. But generally my experience is it's location first is what they're looking for, which is why, and that's another topic, but the home needs to look good on the outside because people will drive the neighborhood first. Do you find that with your buyers? They'll drive the neighborhood first to see what it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tell everyone your online presence is the most important because they will make that decision within 8 seconds and they'll never even bother to drive through the neighborhood if that house doesn't appeal to them from an online. So photography, video, I know you're going to talk about it in another session, but those things are so
no,
crucial.
we can't not talk about it, but yeah, because they're your first showing is what people don't realize. Your first showing is not when someone comes through the door, it's online.
Mm-hmm. And then if you can get them that far and they do drive down the street, that curb appeal, you know, is the next 8-second impression that you're going to make. And then it just continues as they go into the home. So yeah, it's a process. You have to be really kind of well thought out in terms of how you present the property to the public. Even if it's a beautiful home, it might not grab the attention of a buyer if it doesn't have the right, you know, photography and video and things like that. So
if it's not shown right. Absolutely. Great points. Let's talk about our next topic, which is, do you want to talk about the luxury buyer first or the luxury seller? I'll leave it up to you.
Well, I mean, they kind of go, I guess they go hand in hand. So we can kind of just talk about the topics. The luxury market, I think what we wanted to kind of like highlight in this session was just talking about how it can differ a little bit in terms of creating an experience and a lifestyle for the buyer. So if you're out there listening and you're working on, you know, thinking about selling a luxury property, or if you're working with a buyer or seller, I think those are the kind of things to keep in mind, is that you're really appealing to a lifestyle. Most likely these buyers own more than one home. Same thing applies to the online presence. You're going to want to have the best pictures, the best video, everything like that online. There's a lot of different marketing tools, you know, that brokers can use to help market a property, and then exposure. Because a lot of times the difference here is that the ideal buyer could be coming from anywhere in the world, maybe not as so much right now with travel restrictions. However, that doesn't necessarily restrict them from buying the property, right? So again, I think that online presence is key. And then really thinking about it from the perspective, like I said, of the experience that you're going to give a buyer when they come into your home that you're selling. So a great example, and I was just saying this to someone the other day, I'm like, if we're showing this luxury property that we have, when they pull up, open the gate for them so they can experience what it would be like coming into this home, driving through the gate, you know, those types of things really play into it, because these are people that might not have as much time, and they have a very kind of specific, you know, lifestyle that they imagine living in it, and it goes side by side with location. So it's location and lifestyle for them.
I love that. I love that point that you made, Juliana, about opening up the gate, even the front door. You know, maybe this would be on, you know, without a gate. I mean, we've got luxury properties that don't have a gate, but never take your client through a back door or a garage, or see that happen. But, you know, again, to your note, It's the experience. We want them to have the flow and the experience of if a guest came to their home.
Same thing when they're inside the home. If it's a client that likes to host parties or fundraisers in their home, highlighting those features of where there could be gathering spaces and where there could be, a caterer's kitchen and even like a resort feeling on the outside, right? Showing them where the lounge chairs could go and where the band could be playing and things like that, and really kind of creating this whole experience so that they can envision moving in. Now, another interesting thing that has really kind of started to evolve over the last few years has been these buyers looking for something that's really turnkey. So they are less inclined now to do any types of renovation projects, and they're really looking to just take their keys and their suitcase and move in. And I think that's probably, it could be tied back to all of the TV shows like HGTV and how easy it is to renovate your home and how quick it takes. And I think people finally started doing it a lot and realized maybe it's not as easy as they make it look on TV.
Yeah, because maybe they do a lot of editing, and what took 2 days they did in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Exactly. So that is something that we're seeing in the luxury market as well, where it's less inclination to want to do major renovation projects and more just wanting to move in right away.
And I would add to that, I'm seeing it even more, even on your mid-range today, because people have busy lives and even busier now in some cases, again, with homeschooling, et cetera. And so when they walk in, even if it's just paint and flooring, they're thinking, oh, the guy's thinking honey-do list,
right?
And a lot of money. And let's say the woman does fall in love with it. I tried to find a book. There's a book, I don't know if you've read it. It's called I pulled it up on my phone, She Buys. Okay. The new strategy for reaching the world's most powerful consumers. Yes, men, they're us, women. Happy wife, happy life, right? It was required reading when I worked for a builder. Fabulous book, The Psychology on Selling. So let's take, this scenario. So, he's like, I got to paint it. I got to put floor, it's going to cost so much money. So let's just say it's 300,000. He gives in because she buys. He wants a happy life. So he's like, okay, fine. If you want this house, babe, but let's offer, 35,000 less. When in actuality, the repairs and the new flooring and some paint might have cost 10 or so, let's say even 15. Well, do the math. How much equity did the seller just rip up and throw in the trash? Okay. People don't buy what they don't see, and she buys. So, just think about that, sellers, when you are tempted to say, oh, we'll just give them a credit, a floor credit or a paint credit. It doesn't work. Have you seen that work when you've worked with buyers?
Not really. I mean, on the rare occasion, the unicorn, but it's true. And it's a lot of it's very much perception, and one person's taste or valuation of what that type of renovation would cost can be dramatically different from another person's, right?
But they're always going to, and I mean, 100%, they're always going to inflate it. I mean, you can get a room painted for $300. If it's just one garish red room, they'll want to offer 7 or 1,000 less. They're always going to double or triple it, what the actual cost could be.
Versus a little sweat equity, as they say.
Yeah, there you go. Or getting one of your good painters.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing. And I'm sure you could have a whole topic about the staging of these properties, especially, we talk about taking some personalization away from the home and decluttering and things like that. But, in a lot of these properties, they're very personalized and very unique from an interior design perspective. And that can sometimes be a challenge too, right? So working with someone like you to bring in a professional, staging consultation and being able to kind of walk through and see what can we do with this home to really appeal to the ideal buyer, because it's not so much about casting this really wide net and hoping someone, bites. It's really about defining who the ideal buyer is for this property, what's the lifestyle, what are their needs, and then kind of framing it all around it, whether it's the staging, the marketing, the exposure that we're doing in terms of advertising. It's important.
All of those things. And I love that you understand that whole, network, because it is a combination of all of those things. We consider staging to be the only measurable improvement in selling a property. It's actually measurable, and there's statistics on that, but it doesn't work unless you market it to the psychographics and demographics and put all those pieces together in your marketing, et cetera, to bring in. If not, one of my famous sayings, you're like the person who winked in the dark. You did it, but no one else did.
And the truth is, there's some properties that are harder to sell than others. And there's some, they might be in a bad location, or they might be next to a busy street. And sometimes these are things that you can't change, right? So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll try to say, okay, let's work with this issue and find a way that it can be spun into a positive, right? And oftentimes it works. Because what might be a concern for like a busy street for one buyer might also mean they can walk right out their front door and go eat at restaurants. Right?
Absolutely. What a good point. There is a buyer for every home. In my day in, selling new homes and being in new home sales, I've literally sold homes where I was in a trailer and there was a train coming by that was 12 feet in front of the trailer. This is where a home was going to be built. Literally, when I was talking to people, you had to be able to read my lips like we were doing earlier when the train went by. Did I sell those homes? You betcha. And it was really true. I wasn't making it up. I love trains. I've taken my kids when they were little on a train ride across country. The sound of trains, I just love it. So, I talked about, isn't this just like hometown America? To hear the train go by, and certainly your home's going to be built. It's not going to rattle like this trailer is, but you know what I'm saying? And there are buyers who resonate with that. If you tell yourself, oh gosh, I'll never sell this. It's right next to a railroad station. Well, that's a good thing for some people, just like the analogy you just said, hey, I can walk right out and go here and go here, there, it works.
It's kind of framing the story and helping them envision it.
Yes.
Like, it could be it's not just through the physical location, it's psychological and emotional. And they all kind of do play together. So.
Absolutely. We believe that staging creates emotion and buyers justify price with emotion. And you, as the professional realtor, tell that story of lifestyle, that resonates with your buyer and brings it all together, because it is an emotional decision when you fall in love with a space, a home, a place, everything that goes with it.
Sometimes it's subconscious on their part,
It is. Well, this is why the statistics, and I think you said 8 seconds. I think the latest is 6 seconds, that buyers will make a decision, yay or nay, within 6 seconds of seeing the pictures online or walking in the home. So is there, and it's all subconscious. It's all subconscious. They couldn't really tell you how many times, if you're a realtor, have you heard your buyer say, well, I know this has got everything I put on my must-have list, but it just isn't it. I don't feel it.
Yeah.
They don't feel it. They can't put their finger on it, but it's everything. It's all of those things that make it resonate with them. Yeah, definitely emotional. So how are we doing on time?
I think we're getting close.
Oh, okay, we've got about 10 minutes. Do we have any questions? Hey, Eddie, how are you? Hey, Eddie, you got some questions for us? Tanya, we got Joanna. We've got about 10 minutes. Patrizia, do you have a question for it? Patrizia, my dear friend from Rome, Italy. And we hope to have her on as a guest to tell us, her take. She's also a staging sister, as I call them, on what's going on in her neck of the world, because we want to hear, globally in terms of the differences and just, our sisters and brothers across the globe. So Patrizia, if you have any questions, let us know. Hey, Magda, do you got any questions for us? Let me look down here. How about Jeffrey? You got any questions for us, Jeffrey? He gave me his iPad here so I could at least see the questions.
Well, whoever is watching this, I would welcome you to reach out to me. I'm happy to chat. You can schedule.
Yes, so tell us, where can somebody reach you? What is the best way to reach you, and give us all your stuff, your Instagram, your this, your that. And when we tape this and put it back, I'll have, Jeff put a banner on it, so it's readily available. But go ahead and share with our viewers how they can reach you.
I'm all over the place, but you can find me on Instagram and the handle Juliana Swisher. Also my company at South House Living. If you're looking for interior inspiration, you can check out South House Living's Pinterest boards. We have a lot in terms of that there, and some of our listings as well. You can email me, Juliana at South House Living. Visit our website.
So that's South House. That's SOUTHAU. I'm sorry, HAUS. Living.
South House Living. Yes.
South House Living.
You can message me on Facebook, Instagram. I am available to talk and happy to do so and answer any other questions if there's follow-up.
So one more question right now today. What is for our viewers and anyone they know, what is your ideal client that you're looking for to work with next week?
I would say, I really have developed a very strong marketing strategy and sales proposal for my clients that are looking to sell their homes for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. We've really put a lot of thought into how we execute on our marketing strategy, and then also preparing the home before we go to market. So I would love to share. I would love to share that with clients that are in it. And again, like I said, our office is right here outside of Rice Village. We work kind of all over the inner loop, Memorial Heights. Call me. I have listings too in other locations too. So, and we have a whole team ready and dedicated to help you kind of reach your goals and get you moved on to where you're going next.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for being my guest. And thank you folks for watching us on our episode 1, take 2 of Kat's Home Chat, all things real estate. Next week, we are going to have a photographer who's going to give some tips and tricks on how to showcase your home in the best way to do all those things Juliana talks about to get it to look great on your first showing, which is online, and to sell faster with more eyeballs on it if the pictures are looking great. We're going to also have him share some tips for you as the seller to help, set up for success for the best shots for your homes. So until next time, thank you so much. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Be safe, whether you're staying at home like I am and getting a little blow up pool or you're going somewhere visiting with family. Be positive and remember, pay it forward with positivity. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye, Juliana. Bye, all.